Life. What the fuck is the meaning of ladies and gentlemen, this is JoeJin Movies So Awesome. I'm Joe.
I'm Won-Jin.
This is going to be our review of
Synecdoche, New York.
Starring Hoffman, Peter Seymour Hoffman.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Philip Seymour Hoffman. Per request of Void a Parrot. Full spoilers for the movie. Here we go. Yo. Man, this was a very meta story.
Man, this was very surreal.
Very meta.
Yeah, very meta. It was difficult to understand for me. So, like, up front, I'm going to say that I kind of hated this movie. I was like, what the hell is this?
Oh man, I liked it actually. Void, I liked it. Won-Jin hated it. Let's do a debate about this one.
First of all, it reminded me a lot of that what was it? David Fincher film?
Which one?
What have you seen Mulholland Drive?
I don't think so.
Oh, you haven't seen Mulholland Drive?
I don't think so actually.
And I also recommend it. It's from 2001.
Okay. And
I thought, by the way, I would prefer Mulholland Drive to this. I thought that was a great movie. But what these two movies have in common is the fact that they all feel like a dream. They all kind of feel like a dream.
You know what I prefer?
Doesn't seem to make sense.
Now that you mentioned that, do you know what I prefer over this movie? The Game.
The Game?
Yeah, Michael Douglas.
Oh, isn't that from the 90s?
Yeah. What's up, Walker? Honest opinion, my friends of the idea Rixie beloved T-Rex for Jurassic Park and the Jurassic World movies being the next Marvel Avengers movie. Do you think she'll be a good addition? I don't think so, Walker. I don't think Marvel will add dinosaurs to their line, though.
I bet they would also have like their own IP that is like reminiscent of dinosaurs.
I think the big problem will be the intellectual property conflict, and they already have a lot of dinosaurs, so I don't think they can easily do it.
But anyways, so you said
what was I talking about?
I was saying that it was like a dream sequence. Oh, for me.
No, but for me personally, for being a 2-hour movie, only 15 minutes of it made me a little boring. I felt like it could be 15 minutes shorter. I felt like the movie would have been perfect in the 1 hour 40-minute mark because after the hour mark, I feel like they were kind of repeating the same, like trying to like hone in the point that I already kind of felt like was happening. But I think the whole movie is up to interpretation, though, because one thing I do like about it is I think it comes down to the audience whether to decide the Hoffman character is a narcissistic piece of shit, like pretentious artist, as pretentious is what Won-Jin called him, or don't we all kind of live life like that, though?
No, I was saying that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to not to Philip Seymour Hoffman, but I was saying that the movie was pretentious.
Oh, okay, okay, that's a stronger. Yeah. I didn't feel it was pretentious actually, because I felt like remember, like Hoffman's character is trying to. He claims he's trying to put truth into play, but a lot of people around him sees his truth. But it felt like he was kind of missing. He lacked like self-reflection, and that's why we titled it Sammy No, because I think the climax of the movie is Sammy killing himself.
And before he throws himself off, I think he does say, "It's like look at us.
Yes.
You're so like obsessed with looking at yourself that you're not looking around."
Not just that, but I think he fails to look at himself too, because you only listen, Won-Jin. I think life is like this way. We self-define ourselves, right? But there's also our definition given by others. Isn't it a mutual like interaction that really puts your identity? Like, what is private life and what is public life? Here, I think the problem with him is he makes endless copy of himself and others. Why? Are they not sufficient? Like here's the question: why do you need another actor to play somebody that is real and existing in front of you? Because we see this with him and his marriages. I barely see him actually like recognize his partner.
You know, by the way, that's like the point where I kind of like thought to myself, okay, fuck this.
Really?
Like the moment when he was having, when he had a family with what's her name, Adele, and his daughter Olive, and I don't know, within like 5 minutes, he's now married to Vanessa Williams, and he has another kid. That's the point when I kind of like gave up on like liking this movie. I'm like, okay, fuck this.
No, but I felt like it totally made sense for the character because the beginning scene is the highlight here. Like he interacts with his family, but he's always, remember, he says Harold Pinter won a Nobel Prize. Oh, he died. Oh, Harold Pinter died. Oh no, he won a Nobel Prize because Harold Pinter is a famous British playwright, and we get a sense of what he's going for. He wants to put that humanity. He wants to make a piece of art, but the interesting thing is his art and his wife's art is very different too. Because
I thought it was kind of like a funny contrast between the two.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Because Philip Seymour Hoffman, you know, he's basically trying to replicate like an entire city in that warehouse, and it just keeps getting bigger. And there's like a warehouse within a warehouse within a warehouse. I'm like, what the hell? And what his wife is doing is her painting just gets smaller and smaller, and people need to use these like magnifying glasses.
You know what the main difference between them two though? His wife completes her work. He never completes his work. 17 years these people have been working for him. You have to ask him, like, do you know what you're like? And I think it's also like a parable of life, because I think not just Hoffman's character, but Won-Jin and Joe, like us, we don't know what we're really doing in life. Oh, what's up, Void? What I like about the movie is the thematic arc and crux. It starts out raw, realistic, subtle, and progressively gets more absurd, like life. Yeah, Void, that's a good point, because life is absurd in a way.
Yeah, that's I think what I said last time after like finishing half the movie. I thought this was very much like the absurdism we see in literature, like Waiting for Godot or Rhinoceros. Things don't seemingly make sense. So
no, but we also dig our own grave, because Hoffman marries his secretary knowing that her house is burning. They always see it.
That was also really weird. I'm like, what's up with the house? I mean, I understand it's some kind of symbolism, but I didn't really appreciate it being too like in the face. Like she buys the house while it's on fire. No, but I guess it's like it has its own theme. Like
no, you know what that theme is? Remember in Irishman, when De Niro's character meets Petsy's scene, like the boss for the first time. De Niro talks about digging graves, like digging graves for the prisoner of war and shooting them and putting him in there. We dig our own graves, like knowingly or unknowingly. Everything we do actually is kind of a promise that will end us, and I felt like it was a symbolism of that.
Yeah, and I thought it was very poorly done because it could have been. I mean, let's take it, since we're talking about mafia movies. Let's talk about The Sopranos. Remember when Chris Moltisanti's getting made, and he sees that crow out the window, and then he looks back and it's gone. Maybe. I don't know, maybe the director had his own thing, but I would have appreciated it more if it was more subtle. It's like when she's about to sign the contract, she gets this like delusion that the house is on fire, and then when she looks back, it's not. But it's constantly on fire, like all throughout the movie.
No, but don't you think you should?
Oh, maybe that's Void's point. Yeah, it's supposed to be like that to be absurd.
Yeah, because Hoffman is always worried about dying. Yet he's worried about dying. That's why he wants to create this work of art before he passes away. But the ending is very poignant because he's the one that he's the last one to survive out of everybody. Like this person who was worried about dying, he's the last one surviving, except one actor. So that's already.
And he still hasn't finished his work.
No, but don't you think that's a criticism? Like, you know, philosophically, there's like a saying like, stop thinking about death. Like, enjoy your life, carpe diem while you can. But you see this character never happy. Like he's not happy. And like even his wife and the other characters, they look for happiness, but he doesn't seem to understand what they're going through. Even his first wife, who's I think secretly a lesbian and got married with the other woman.
The Jason, I forgot her name, the one from Fargo, boss lady,
and Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also like even his second wife, like she goes on to do like works that I feel like is more life-affirming than this. And so I feel like there's a lot of layers like that. And I also,
I guess it's like a commentary on life. And I just thought the movie overall was very sad because it's a commentary on life, but like in all the negative aspects.
No, but don't you think that scene was funny where the daughter's tattooed up and say, admit that you had anal sex with a helper and then that ruined my life?
And I thought that was really weird. I thought that was very like Mulholland Drive kind of thing, because I don't think that actually happened.
No, we're meant to question it.
Yeah, I don't think that meeting actually happened, because I think it's just in his head, and I think that's what he's like afraid of admitting, maybe. And I guess throughout the whole movie, I see Philip Seymour Hoffman going through a lot of loss. He loses everything. He loses his family. He loses his romance. He loses his health.
Well, don't you think there's a failure in his part to try to understand the other's perspective? Because he's always presented as a victim. But is he, though? Because Sammy's speech at the end clearly shows that, I mean, for me, clearly shows that, no, you're not. You're neglecting them. Like,
and that, like, I think it also applies to the moment when what's the box office lady's Hazel, when Hazel basically throws herself at him in the beginning of the movie, and he just, I don't know, he just decides to bask in his own self-pity, and then later on he regrets it, and then later on they get together again. He's seemingly happy, and then he loses her.
No, but that's the problem with the character, because he's so self-absorbed.
Yeah, so he, like you said, he neglects to see what's in front of him.
But yet his mission is to do truth, and all he's really doing is making a poor copy of people around him and themselves. Oh, we had our Anzac Day over here when we celebrate the war of the people who sacrificed ourselves at this country. We haven't really bad protests against our Nazis at the memorial. Okay, Walker. Void, your input would be really appreciated. No, but overall, I felt like it was rich in layers like that. Like, how many... But the whole movie, I think, is a man's life, because I think that's how we remember the past. Like, in moments. Like, kind of like a Christopher Nolan movie. It's always about the most important things that happen to you in life. And it reminded me a lot of the Black Mirror eulogy episode, because certain episodes in your life can define you. And it felt like, to me, in one interpretation that I had, was Hoffman was running away from those. He claims he wants to put truth in this play, but he cannot see the truth around him. And I felt like even the daughter anal sex thing was done for comedy, but where is your responsibility in her becoming this way? And did she really live a bad life? What about you? Look at you. Like, who are you to judge her life? Because really,
he fails at everything. He loses everything. He's a bad father.
No, but you never get
failed husband.
No, but you never see a scene where he says, my wife is like this or my daughter is like this. Never. He's always saying, this is right, this is right. But he's so self-absorbed that he never talks about anything besides himself, really, and how he sees the world. And Sammy is a poor character, because by the end of it, he's exhausted with his self-pity. He's like, fuck. And the way he treats his death is funny, too. He dies. He gets his head jammed into concrete. And he's like, no, that's not how I would have done it.
I didn't jump.
Yeah, I didn't jump then. No, but he was saying like you could have jumped. So I felt like no, but another thing I want to say though, like I don't blame the Hoffman character completely because I think we all live our world half blind. Like we're always because we're all the main characters of this movie we call our life, right? Like, how much time do we really spend thinking about what the other person is thinking? There's a failure of communication there. Like, this movie is weird in the way that we are actually living the life in Hoffman's perspective. That's why the sad scenes are, like, roughly cut. Like, we never get to see, we never get to hear his ex-wives giving a monologue about why they left you. It's all in Hoffman's perspective.
He decides to forget it.
Yeah, so that's what's sad. But anyway, why do you hate it?
It's unkind. I mean, I understand the artistic side of it. It tries to be like surreal and everything. But remember, this is a movie. It takes time of my life. It takes 2 hours of my life that I will never recover.
No, so then how?
So I expect, when I watch a movie, I expect to be entertained. And this failed to entertain me because it leaves me with a lot of like questions. What the fuck is going on? And another key point for me that cannot give this movie a good grade is that would I recommend this to someone? No, because I'm afraid that they will also give me the same reaction. What the fuck is this?
So I have a counter question to that. I want your response. Like, how does this compare to Dogville?
Dogville was very straightforward. That was a very kind movie. The only thing I would like say was like special about that movie was that they were acting on top of like drawn lines, but they represented real things in life. They were like, this is the orchard, this is the church.
No, but counter argument, this is also a theater within a theater kind of thing. Because they're both very like theatrical. Like I felt like this movie was theater piece done to a movie. So why does your satisfaction level differ between the two?
For example, the house on fire. The house is on fire, and the lady Hazel decides to purchase it, and it's meant to be like symbolism. Dogville didn't do that. They don't buy houses on fire. It's a very straightforward story, and it's a symbolism that's easy to understand. For example, those like figurines. So like the figurines that Nicole Kidman buys. That symbolizes like for her, that's like children for her. And that evil lady, she smashes it because she thinks Nicole Kidman cheated with her husband. And that later on builds up to that cathartic moment where Nicole Kidman tells the gangsters, like, shoot her children in front of her, and if she cries, kill the rest of them. I was like, fuck yeah!
Yeah, Won-Jin
cathartic moment right there. Cathartic moment right
thank
there.
You, Void.
Justice.
I took the gay lover in question as being his ego, and he has to apologize to his daughter for running off to make love to himself. Oh, shit! That's a good interpretation, Void.
See, this is one thing that I really don't like about this movie. You know, in Korean, there's this proverb, say, like, 꿈보다 해몽. So we don't know what the intention was.
No, explain that to the audience.
Yeah, that means it's like, sometimes we are too invested in the interpretation of a dream when the dream could actually be meaningless. So there are like hundreds of interpretations that could come from this. And basically, if a movie is, I don't know, movie packs like one of these like thematic elements within itself, it could be like very highly regarded. But if the movie's littered with something like this, then it kind of becomes exhausting because you have to make so many guesses.
No, but here's a different perspective though. Dogville, because remember, Dogville has narration. We're meant to have like an omnipresent view of this world, whereas this movie, we are meant to watch an artist, Hoffman. It's not an omnipresent view. It's a first-person view of the world, and I think Void, what is he's trying to say is, his self-observation he calls ego, right? He's fucking himself, basically. That's what the daughter is trying to say. But But don't we all fuck ourselves sometimes, though? Like, because Won-Jin, back to your point about the wife's art. I felt like the Hoffman's character, like, remember the world kept, like, the CG kept getting bigger. Mm-hmm. Like, his ambition maybe doesn't match his ability. Mm-hmm. And the reason why he cannot finish his art is because he doesn't understand the people around him.
Mm-hmm. And also, maybe he's incompetent.
You think he's incompetent?
Yeah, because I think he kind of realizes towards the end. Because remember, he transfers his responsibilities to that lady who plays him. Mm-hmm. And she actually does a better job. That's what I thought. And he just cannot stand his incompetence, especially when he compares himself to his wife, Adele, because she's having that global success. And we could see that that's kind of, I think it's kind of dwarfing his ego. And I think he cannot stand it.
But in the defense of Hoffman's character, though, remember the ending line? The moment that he says, "I'm finally ready to write my play," he dies. Mm-hmm. Don't you think that's kind of a parable, like you know how like in Greek mythologies, when the protagonist finally realizes the situation is too late, it's a tragedy in that way. Yeah, like he can finally see the world for like the completeness of what it is, but he dies. Either that, or because it's the end of his life, he's in a delusion. Because he's not going to be able to finish the work anyway. And you could argue that he never intended to finish the work.
Or also, I guess it's like a message that life passes you by no matter what happens. And I don't think he managed to enjoy what was like on his way through his journey through life. And when by the time he kind of realizes what he needs to do, it's too late. So maybe it's that message too. In Once Upon a Time, Pinocchio was an adult in this. I'm gonna have to check that show out. But yeah, I would rate this movie very low in my standard. I mean, I understand that it has a lot of layers and everything, but still, as a movie and as like an entertainment piece, I think this fails miserably to me. Because it actually stressed me out while watching.
So I have a question. Like Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot, did that entertain you?
No, that did not entertain me. I do not enjoy those
absurdist.
Yeah, those absurdist shit. Hold on. Why is the screen going blank? What happened?
No, but I actually enjoyed Waiting for Godot, though.
I mean, yes, I understand the whole thing, but is it entertaining? I'm not sure.
Hey guys, I feel like this movie needs more engagement because me and Won-Jin we're running low on blood sugar. So let's continue this talk on less talk. How about that? Because I really wanted more engagement on this movie because there's this Hey, I'm sorry, Won-Jin, for making you talk too much. Like,
oh no, it's okay. I had a lot to talk.
Yeah, I'm glad you put in a lot of input for me. I'm kind of running out of steam after talking about Andrew. Like, I did have a thought, but I watched this movie 2 weeks ago, so I'm barely remembering it now.
To be fair to the movie, I think this movie needs to be watched multiple times. I don't think it's like a movie that you get after like a single watch. I think you have to watch it a few times to really like kind of get the feel of what's going on. Dogville, on the other hand, that was like a movie that you could get from like the first go.
Oh, now I remember. Another delusion that we have, Won-Jin.
What's up?
I feel like this movie was a critic of, you know how we always believe that we are an observer, not a participant. We always feel like we are observer of the world, but the truth is, we are not just the observer, we're the participant. I thought that was done really well in the beginning of the movie where Sammy is always watching Hoffman's character, right? And then he joins. But what they both fail to realize is that they're not watching the chess piece in a director's view. They are the chess piece. And I feel like I see this all the time when I used to work really hard, where people are always judging others, looking at others. The most insightful people cannot see themselves. And I thought that was a good like a metaphor for that, where Sammy is watching Hoffman's character, but Hoffman is totally delusioned that he's an observer of the world. No, you are not. By the plot of the movie, I can see that you are actually having a major impact in these people characters, mostly for the negative. So that was a theme I wanted to go to. Oh,
I get Jin's point. The interpretations can be tenuous, and enjoying a movie like this more of an acquired taste. Yeah, I agree. And you can be more harsh on me. I know I'm like shitting a lot on the movie, but I know that if I watch this movie maybe like 2 or 3 more times, I'm kind of gonna get like the hang of it.
be honest, you're not gonna watch it again.
Maybe in the future when I'm like kind of bored with everything.
No, but back to my interpretation about Observer, and it's like, it's why I like to know what other people took away from watching it. Okay. No, I felt like okay, now I remember. I want to say this to people. You are not just an observer of the world. Because this brings up the interesting conversation me and Won-Jin had about Korean politics is, I asked Won-Jin once, why are you so interested in politics? Politicians are all liars. And Won-Jin said, no, this is important. This impacts our life.
Yeah, exactly. They're liars because we're not watching them.
No, so
we have to observe and watch them. And the more people watch, the more transparent it becomes.
Shut the fuck up, you heartless piece of shit. I'm trying to make a point here. Like, so, like,
democracy.
So, like, fuck you. Ellie is a victim. Back to the movie. I just felt like Hoffman was under the delusion that he's an artist, so he's watching the world from a distance. But whenever we see him present, he's the main character here, and he's clearly having an impact on the people around him. And his failure to sympathize with them is causing distress.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, the Sammy character watching him from a bathroom, watching him from this one's interesting is because we will like to think of ourselves as observers. That's That's also a narcissism in a way, because we're putting our position as God, like a third point of view. And I thought Hoffman's that's why I respect Sammy, is because Sammy was insightful enough to realize that. That's why he's deciding to jump. But you know why he's jumping too? Because he's so invested in Hoffman's character that he's acting like Hoffman. I wanted to ask him, you're not fucking Hoffman. You're Sammy, this person. Like, when he said, I watched you for 20 years, like, don't you got better shit to do, motherfucker? What about your fucking life? No, so, like, that's why the suicide was sad, is because you are killing yourself to make someone who doesn't even appreciate you. Like, Hoffman's character doesn't appreciate him at all. He doesn't appreciate anybody in his, like, play. To make him realize something that you know he's not going to. Because one of the that's why the ending line is so sad, is because Hoffman says, I'm ready to write my play now. Not one word of people who participated in his project. Not one word of thank you. These people who worked for 17 years. Remember that scene where he's on the podium and they're all standing in the set?
We're gonna do this great thing, blah, 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 blah,
Shut
blah.
the fuck up! No, so that's why Sammy is sad, because, like, Void, here's a lesson for you. Don't live for others. Live for yourself. The person you're observing, okay, he or she or they might be interesting for a moment.
I think that's also a very interesting perspective. I think to appreciate this movie more, I think you need to pay more attention to characters besides Philip Seymour Hoffman.
No, listen, Won-Jin. None of them are happy. And 33% of their unhappiness come from Hoffman's character. And he couldn't, and here's another thing. This motherfucker doesn't say one kind word to anybody around him. And then he whines about himself. He says not one kind word to anybody in the movie.
Doesn't he say, like, thank you to Hazel, like, the day before she dies? I think that's the only time, because he said, that was, like, the happiest day of my life. Or
So,
maybe he doesn't.
Hey, fuck him. like, no, but then again, he did rehire his secretary. So no, since Void, you made a good point about interpretation. That's why now I remember the first time I watched the movie. This was my interpretation about, because when Socrates says "know thyself," his listen. I think a lot of people miss "know thyself." Know thyself doesn't mean be self-absorbed.
It means be self-aware.
Exactly. Oh, that was beautifully put. You're not alone in this world. You like, know thyself doesn't mean jerk off to yourself in the mirror. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. One of my subscribers said stop using these descriptions, but I do. Like, but here we see.
That was very graphic.
Yeah, we see him failing here, and here's another thing. Him putting his art before people is a failure as an artist.
Oh, that's a great point.
Yes, because when Sammy killed himself and his head is in the concrete, he says that's not supposed to be that way. That's putting the art before him, right? But here's a counter question. What is your art? No one seems to get it except you. And it seems like you don't even get to answer your question. And you know what's so funny? This so-called great director feels alive when he's washing and being a maid in his ex-wife's house. Why do you do that if you're such a great artist? Why do you need to do these menial tasks to feel like you're alive? Is that okay? That's Void. That's Void. I think that's his ego. That's according to Void's language. That's his ego apologizing to his ex-wife and his ex-daughter. Because he's cleaning the house. He's trying to clean his sin away. Because he's the one that failed the marriage and failed his lesbian daughter. So he's cleaning the house. That's why he's acting like the maid. That's Void's interpretation I'm using. That's why that's kind of like a guilt washing.
Yeah.
You know how in Breaking Bad, Gus is always washing something? You could if we take this movie's language, that's him trying to wash away his blood. Remember in Macbeth,
we thought it was like an anxiety reaction thing, but maybe that could also be the interpretation.
Remember Lady Macbeth says, "I cannot wash the blood away. Wash the blood away." Macbeth like, "What are you doing, wife?" "No, I want to wash. There's no blood in your hand." But Lady Macbeth keeps cleaning her hand, and I feel like the cleaning is trying to deny that his wrongdoing exists, and instead of taking responsibility. Like eulogies, Paul Giamatti, which Won-Jin shit on, but I praise. Fuck you.
Well, I didn't shit on that. I like that episode.
No, but was it ZZ or you that said, too late, time has passed? But I said there's redemption there. Because Paul Giamatti admitted that he might have fucked
I think that was ZZ.
Okay.
I like that episode. And I really felt sorry for Paul Giamatti. Because that's like a lot of the regret that men like hold inside.
Oh, thank you, Won-Jin. That was ZZ. So let's dump ZZ. No, so he was trying to wash the queen. So I thought that was that interpretation. Hey, but you know what? I agree to Won-Jin in the fact that this movie should have been 15 minutes shorter.
And yeah, it was very unkind. And you know, also when before the screen went gray, before he died, when he said, "I think I know how to do this," I was like, "No, you don't." And I was thinking to the top of my head, and then the one who's giving the command, she said, "Die." I was like, "Yeah, die. Stop torturing people. Just go."
No, but okay, that's also up to interpretation. Like, maybe he lived a life, because remember in the first scene he said Harold Pinter, so he felt like he lived a life where he thought was right. That's why he needs to be told what life he should live. Oh, I cannot wait for. Hey, Walker has been waiting so long.
Yeah.
So, hey, Void, we can talk about this endlessly. Okay, anytime you want to ask about Synecdoche, New York, please put the question. Let's give a number grade, man.
I would give this movie like a 4. That's my initial review. I mean, I understand the layers and everything, but did it succeed as like an entertaining movie for me? No, that's a 4.
God damn, that's the harshest.
I was gonna give it a 3.
Really?
Yeah, I'm giving it a 4 because I know, like deep inside somewhere, that if I rewatch this movie several times, I'm gonna get it and I'm gonna appreciate it more. But my initial judgment is a 4.
I'm gonna give it a 10 because you gave it a 4.
By the way, I would give Mulholland Drive like a 7. Mulholland Drive. I mean, of course, it's a different movie, but it's also dreamlike. But that was actually entertaining for me.
Hey, we can talk more about this in Let's Talk because Walker is waiting, and I think Walker. So sorry, we had a lot of show to talk about. We're gonna get into Let's Talk. I'm gonna give it a 10. I was gonna give it an 8 but I'm gonna give it a 10.
Now you gotta balance it out.
Yeah. So fuck you.
So overall, it's a 7.
Yeah. JoeJin movies are awesome. Give the Synecdoche, New York a 7 because I feel like it's a think piece. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
it's
think
a think piece. Is it
Think piece.
entertaining? Maybe not for everybody. But it's definitely a think piece because it made me think a lot. But I admit 15 minutes of it was, for me personally, boring. For Won-Jin, about 1 hour of the 2 hour was boring. So I feel like that's fair. So because some of the dialogues were very smart though. Because didn't you laugh at some jokes of it though? Like some jokes were funny. So anyway, guys, JoeJin movie so awesome. Give Synecdoche, New York, starring
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
a 7. We're not gonna take a break, and we're gonna go into Let's
We'll be right
Talk.
back into Let's Talk.
This has been JoeJin movie so awesome. I'm Joe.
I'm Won-Jin.
We love y'all.
We'll
Walker,
be
we're
right
sorry. We're
back.
coming. Woo! Triple trouble void. Said Z Walker. And fuck Won-Jin for not crying and not feeling sorry for Ellie.
Man.
You heartless piece of shit.
She needed to learn it the hard way.
I knew you were a piece of shit when adolescence, and then you said the parents are to blame. You motherfucker. You harsh Confucianist motherfucker. Parents
Man.
does everything.
They gotta learn it the hard way.
You.